Hello all and welcome to the Movie Bears podcast. I'm Brad Harris and each week I'm joined by husky hairy homos who love film to discuss movies and sometimes dish up a little movie news. Although this week we have 2 reviews coming at you, so sorry movie news. See you later. But with me as usual are my wonderful co-host Jim Poliafco. Welcome, Jim.
Yes, everybody.
Oh no. Jim, are you with us?
Yeah.
Can you say hi again? You totally dropped out for some reason.
Oh. All right. Well, thanks, and welcome to the podcast, everyone.
All right. Awesome. And with us as well is Will Lindis. Welcome, Will.
Doug. Hey, guys. Good to be with you today on this, what I think is going to be kind of a fun episode.
Absolutely, and we've already got 10 people watching us live, which is kind of crazy for the first 30 seconds of being on air. But hey, so welcome all of you guys. Unfortunately, we had some technical snafus. We had this all set up yesterday. It was working. We were able to broadcast the video in-game. It was glorious. It was beautiful. And now, for whatever reason, today, the stream on Google, all the audio is garbled. So you could watch us on mute, maybe. I don't know. Maybe with no sound or something. But yeah, if you want to see the video in-game, you can join us in-game. We're playing World of Warcraft. I probably should have mentioned that. We're playing World of Warcraft while reviewing Warcraft. How meta is that? We'll also be talking The Conjuring 2. But anyway, if you want to join us, we have made level 1 orcs on Proudmoore. So feel free. If you are a WoW player, you want to come hang out with us. Jim is going to be playing World of Warcraft for the very first time.
Yep.
Ever.
Never been here before.
This should be sort
Neither
of
me or my computer. Neither me nor my PC has ever been there before, so this should be a challenge.
You are.
If I don't totally crash my computer, blue screen out, or just get pissed off and kill it, I don't know. We'll see.
You're charting new territory. You brave new world frontier. But yeah, so again, find us on Proudmoore. We're in the orc starting area. We are level 1s. We are going to be questing for a while we review these films. So if you're like, what the hell are these guys talking about when we're reacting to random things that you can't see, that's why, because we're in the game. So in any event, why don't we go ahead and get started, I guess. Jim, welcome to the World of Warcraft. What do you think?
Thanks. It seems pretty awesome. I'm not sure my computer's up to it because, I was doing this resizing screen thing and it was blanking out on me. But we'll see. My video card. I mean, I'm doing it. First of all, I'm doing it on a laptop. Number one. Secondly, it's a laptop that's probably 6 years old at this point. So I don't know. It might be a challenge, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping to get a lot of help
about
from
seeing you on here, Jim. This is, as someone who's dedicated probably about a decade of his life, I think, now to this game. Has it been out that long? Having someone play it for the first time is always it's a fun experience for me. So this is gonna be awesome.
Yeah, I've been playing for I don't know, 10-ish years probably, maybe. It's been a long time. But I kind of go in spurts. I kind of get away from the game for a while, and then I come back. So I guess I'm coming back for a little bit. Thank you, new movie. But anyway, yeah, here we are. We're in the.
Am I at the orc Starbucks or something? Everyone's just hanging out here.
So well, some are us, there's no baristas.
So I see someone called Assistant Professor Voodoo Man. I'm wondering if that's our buddy Felipe from Real Comics Podcasts, because I know he goes by Voodoo. Hey, Felipe, if that's you.
I see you, Brad. And I thought I saw Will. Was he on a motorcycle or something?
No, I'm standing right next to Voodoo Man.
He's blowing bubbles at you.
I'm blowing bubbles at you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I see Will. I see Farisha. Who's that?
I don't know. Hey, I just got a message back from Voodoo Man. It is indeed Felipe.
Ah! Oh,
So
right on.
it's a dragon. Fuck.
So guys, let's invite Felipe to our group. What do you think? Should we invite him?
I think so.
All right, let's invite him. Felipe, come be part of our group. And he joined our group. I should probably invite you guys too, huh?
I think you should, yeah.
Everything's better when you group up. So, Jim, when you get the invite to join the group, go ahead and say yes.
Okay. I don't see anything. Oh, yeah, okay.
Weirdest movie review episode ever.
Right? Oh my gosh. We haven't even started
to review a
talking about
movie
the
today.
We are going to review a movie.
Yeah, we're going to multitask. Like, that's the great thing. We're going to talk about the game that the movie is based on while talking about the movie while playing the game. We're going to be doing all of these things at the exact same time. It's going to be awesome.
Right? It's going to be epic. All right, so let's.
Oh well, I love your little bear cub.
Oh yeah, that's my little
He's
baby
adorable.
blizzard bear. I decided to bust him out because bear podcast.
Oh yeah, I need to totally get one of my little pets out. It's not going to be a bear though, but I'm going to summon my sinister squashling because it's my favorite pet ever.
I like that one.
Jim, you don't have any pets yet because you haven't played any characters yet, but.
No, I know. You guys are already like cheating
It's all
on
good.
me.
We're not cheating. Oh,
No, I
come on.
like the bear cub's cute and the squashling is interesting.
All right, so
Kind
Will,
of a cross between Audrey 2 and a jack-o'-lantern.
which is why he's so cool. He calls me Seymour. So,
Seymour.
So Will, you're our WoW expert. Why don't you lead us on our first quest?
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about the movie here in a moment.
Yeah, okay, so our first quest, we've got to talk to this guy named Gornek over here. And
Where is he?
He's over here. You're going to look for... Oh, so when you're playing World of Warcraft, you got to go on quests. Quests are all about getting, you have to do a thing, and you get experience from it. So you're going to go to the yellow exclamation mark, which I think actually is this dude Caltunk, and he's going to then send you over to kill 6 model boars. So the way you know you're getting a quest is you've got an exclamation mark and you know you're ready to turn it in. You've done all of the steps for that quest when you have a yellow exclamation mark over someone's head.
So real quick, babe, you see this guy in front of us that has an exclamation point over his head?
I don't see any exclamation point right now.
If you right-click this guy here...
So Jim, real quick, at the upper right under the map, does it say quests and say your place in the world? No?
No, I have a circle that says Valley of Trials, and it just has like a little map with a time underneath it or something.
Is there anything under the time?
Yeah. Oh, I see somebody. All right, I see somebody with an exclamation point. Hold on.
Okay,
Perfect.
right-click him.
Okay.
And read the quest dialogue to us.
You need to be closer to interact. Okay.
So
He
read
says,
to us
what
what
do you
he
need?
says.
And it says, your place in the world? Your place in the world. Finally you are of age, Jim MBP. Of age to battle in the name of the Horde. To conquer for the glory of the War Chief. Yes. Caltunk looks you over. You will do nicely. No doubt you wish to find a great dragon or demon and strangle it with your bare hands, but perhaps it would be wise to start on something less dangerous. Report to Gornek. He should be able to assign a task better suited to a young warrior. You will find him seated in the fire behind me. Okay. And it says, my quest objective is to speak with Gornek. I will receive 40 experience points. So, the fire, huh?
All right, so accept the quest.
Oh, okay. Except somebody said be safe. So there's a fire somewhere?
Yeah,
Right.
So if you look right past this guy, like if you look over his shoulder, you're going to see a fire pit, and right on the other side of it is a dude with a yellow question mark, and that's the guy that you're supposed to talk to. And we're kind of jumping over in that direction, too. To give you...
Oh, I see. All right, I see the fire pit. So I should go over there, huh?
Yeah.
Bring that big strapping warrior body over here.
I'm just getting used to the controls. God, there's a lot of people over here. Is he who's sitting on the ground? Is that him?
That's him.
Yeah, that's the dude.
So right-click on Gornick and read us what he says.
He says, "Your place in the world." Is that what he says, or is that just
that's just the title of the quest? You don't have to read that part.
Oh, okay. Another one of Kaltunk's recruits. A sorry state of affairs we find ourselves in. If this is the best horde, the best the horde can produce. No matter, by the time we think you're ready to leave the valley, you'll be a proud warrior of the horde. You will receive 40 experience points. And I'll complete the quest. Ta-da! Then the music plays, and I get my points.
Yay!
So now I have to, let me see, I have to send you out to the Barrens to hunt Kodo, but, well, in all honesty, you're more useful alive than dead. I believe you'd be of more use to us slaughtering the boars that you'll find in the farms to the north and northeast of here. Slaughter 6 boars, and I'll receive Bragger's gauntlets and 65 somethings. I don't know.
Copper.
65 little brown spots.
Yeah, that's copper. That's the there's different money levels in this, like copper, then silver, then gold.
Right.
So you can get some money for this. They're gonna pay us in equipment, in cash, and in life experience for killing a bunch of boars.
Who's riding a motorcycle?
It's
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maldrin
the
the
Seeker.
Seeker.
It's Malvin the Seeker.
What up, Maldrin? He's kind of hanging around us, so I don't know.
I wonder if he's our guy.
I don't know. So,
Sure.
Jim, did you accept the quest?
Should I, or should we?
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, accept the quest.
Okay. And
All
so that's it. I guess. Oh, on the map, then that's the area I got to go to.
Yeah, it should be highlighted kind of a very light blue on the mini-map, and that tells you that's where your quest is at.
Right. So let's head
Going
that
in the wrong
way.
direction. Wow, this is gripping podcasting.
Well, here in a second, we're just going to be randomly killing boars, and I think while we're doing that, we can start talking about the movie, too.
I think so, too, yeah. So, Jim, come this way. Here we go. All right, we got some boars coming up. So we got to explain combat to Jim, Will.
All right, so you should have a little bar at the very bottom of the screen. So at the very bottom of the screen, like you'll have a bar, and you should have like different classes have different abilities. You'll have whatever your basic one is for your first level as a fighter. So to as a warrior, what you got to do is to fight something. You can first of all you can right click it. You'll see like the little sword appears over a monster, and you can start hitting it. And you can also hit that button on your bar, and it'll do a special attack. So So the first thing you do is let's walk up to one of the boars.
Walk this way.
Okay.
Walk this way.
And we'll show you auto attack first. Just right click one of the boars. So when you just right click one of the boars, you'll just click that one to your left, or that one right there.
Oh.
And you'll just start swinging at it. Yep, so now you're just auto-attacking it right now. So this is your basic attack. When you right-click, you'll swing. But now you've got a little bar with abilities. And as you get more levels, you get more abilities. But right now you have just the one. So push the button that's on your bar.
I guess I got him. He fell down.
I helped.
Yeah. So click another one, and this time use your ability on it, and you'll see it'll go really quick.
So I got to go to it before I click on it?
Yeah, because as a fighter, you're all about getting up close and just beating these things in the face.
So I just repeatedly right-click?
You can only have to right-click once to auto-attack, but you push the little button on your bar, which I forget what it is for level 1.
All right, so here's what's going on. I'm in front of a boar. Is he dead?
Yeah, he's dead. You killed him.
Oh, I can't see him because he's in front of me and my body's blocking him. So my view isn't great.
Go kill another boar. Oh, there you go.
So,
yeah.
Jim, I just helped you out by hurling like flaming ice balls at it.
Why? How am I going to learn to do anything if you keep killing the boars?
All right, I'll kill a different boar. Sorry.
All right, so I'm facing the wrong way. Okay, you got to be facing him.
Yeah, if you're going to swing an axe at something, you usually want to be looking at it.
So, but here's the problem. Okay. I guess I'm looking at it, but I can't see it because it's in front of me.
You should be able to turn
Like
your body.
my view is from behind my character, right?
Well, you can use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out on your character. So if you zoom all the way in, you can go first person, or you can zoom out to where you're like way far back too.
Your character like has to be facing it, even though the camera's behind it and you can see the boar. Your character has to be like your face has to be facing it.
How do I turn my character?
Because
he's not turning.
So
yeah, it's turning my perspective, but not my character.
So use the right mouse button. Remember that turns you around. There you go. And then hit the button on your bar.
What button?
So it should be actually it should be tied to your number 1 key. So when you right click the next one, hit the number 1 key and see what happens. So go hit the one. I just put there's a skull sitting on top of one of their heads. Walk over to that giant skull, right click that one, and then hit the number 1 key and see what happens.
He's behind me now. Damn it. Yeah, see, I got to learn game controls because I'm like, I can't even turn myself around.
So just
how do I turn my body?
The right mouse button. If you click and click and hold the right mouse button, you'll turn your body around whatever direction you move the mouse. There you go.
Oh, okay. Now he's weird. Okay.
Yeah, got him.
Will,
awesome.
Why do you look like a dwarf all of a sudden?
Oh, I've got one of the things in World of Warcraft that you can get is like for doing special achievements or special items is or killing special bosses. You do these things called toys, and they're just little things.
Oh, right.
Kick a soccer ball or make a feather float, or so I've got one. I normally play Alliance, which means I normally play a dwarf character, and so this way I can kind of get to do both. I'm running around as an orc, but I use my flaps to look like a dwarf for a few minutes.
Nice.
All right. I know how many boars I've killed.
So under your
how do I know how many boars I've killed?
Under your mini map, babe.
Yeah.
Does it say quests and then cutting teeth?
Yeah. Yeah.
What does it say under that?
Ready for turn in.
Okay, so let's run back to the dude on your map. If you take a look on your map, do you see a yellow question mark?
Yeah.
That's where our quest giver is. So we've got to run back to him and talk to him. I can't wait to go back and listen to the audio of this.
This is gonna suck so bad.
Well, we can edit it a little bit for the actual the audio only podcast. So the people that are viewing live and are logged in with us will see one thing, but audio only, I definitely want them to hear and experience it. So we can cut a little out if need be.
Yeah, I'll probably gotta figure out game controls here. He said, not bad, but don't let it get to your head. You'll fight tougher than boars in your career. Nonetheless, you've proven yourself well, and your next trial will be against a considerably more dangerous opponent, so you'll need some extra protection. It says, I will receive Bragger's Gauntlets and 65. It looks like the same reward, right?
So you should be able to hit complete quest, I think is what it says.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Now when it does that,
okay.
There you go. You just hit level 2. You got that because of that glowing orange light, which, spoiler alert, we may be talking about during this film review podcast, too. Also, you should now have an item in your bag, which is those bracers or whatever it was they gave you, which you can right-click to equip on your character.
Where's my bag?
Oh, so if you look down at the very bottom, there should be a little icon that looks like a backpack. You can also get there by hitting the B key.
Yeah.
When that opens up, it'll show you your money and your Hearthstone, which we don't have to worry about right now. But there should be some bracers in there now. If you right-click those, it'll equip them on your body.
I got some gauntlets. That's all I have, I think.
Gauntlets. Yeah, so right-click those.
Okay.
And there you go. Now now your character is wearing ginormous black gloves. Look at those.
Look at those beefy gloves. They're awesome. They're so cool. All right.
Alrighty. It's weird though. I think the biggest problem for me is learning the controls at first.
Yeah.
I suck at game controls. This is why I stay away from video games.
That's all right. This is fun. All right.
I suck at button mashing.
So now we've got to kill these Northwatch Scout guys, right? Is that what you guys have?
I do. Yes.
Let me see. Yeah, we can't allow. Let me see. It says this is. He goes into some story. He says we can't allow humans in here in Durotar, and especially not in the valley. You will find them in the south. Slay them quickly before their numbers increase anymore. Slay 7 Northwatch Scouts.
All right. Accept that quest.
Ooh, who's that? Who's that?
Dreka?
Yeah.
She totally just got bathed in yellow light.
Oh, that must mean
that means she leveled up.
She gained a level. All right. So Will, lead us.
Going the wrong way.
Oh. Will, you're gonna have to go ahead and lead us to our next quest.
Absolutely. So we are now heading south to where these humans are at. We're gonna kill. We have to kill 7 Northwatch Scouts. So Jim, go ahead and lead once we get in here.
Basically, just start attacking shit.
You are heading.
Going the wrong way.
You're going north, so turn south.
And Will, while we do this, why don't you go ahead and introduce Warcraft?
Absolutely. So Warcraft is so this is the first movie we're going to be talking about today, and a little bit about the Warcraft world. You've got this peaceful realm of Azeroth, which is the kingdom, not the kingdom, but the world that this film and game franchise takes place on. Well, according to IMDb, I'm going to use that description because it's going to help trim this down quite a bit. Azeroth stands on the brink of war as its civilization faces a fearsome race of invaders. Orc warriors fleeing their dying homeworld to colonize another. As a portal opens to connect the two worlds, one army faces destruction and the other faces extinction. From opposing sides, 2 heroes are set on a collision course that will decide the fate of their family, their people, and their home. Now, a little bit about this franchise as a whole. A lot of times we think about Warcraft in terms of World of Warcraft, which is an insanely popular game, millions of subscribers, and it's become kind of a fixture in terms of like the pop culture zeitgeist. But there were a few games that came out before this. There were real-time strategy games that came out, gosh, in the 90s, called Warcraft. Before World of Warcraft, there were 3 games, Warcraft 1, Warcraft 2, and Warcraft 3. And the real draw of these games is that you could either play the orcs or the humans, and both sides were considered acceptable. You know, when you were playing the humans, you were the good guys. When you were playing the orcs, you were the good guys. And that's one of the things that's so fascinating about this world. And the storyline that we get set up here really does see both the orc chieftain Duratan and the main humans that we're dealing with, both Lothar and Medivh, the mage, and Khadgar, the other mage, set on this like collision course against one another. In terms of like the quality of this film and whether or not I think you should go see it, it's really going to be a bit of a split decision for me. There are a lot of beautiful visuals in this movie, things that as a fan of the games that I absolutely adored seeing live, that I feel like I needed to see live on screen. So from that perspective, as a game player and as someone familiar with the lore, I enjoyed parts of this movie. But as a film fan, the other hat that I wear, I recognize that there are a lot of story structure problems here. These are filmmakers who absolutely adore the story that they're setting the world in, and unfortunately what they end up doing is they cram every single detail they can in, to the point where I feel the story's convoluted, and I feel that while I was able to keep up just fine, I really question how accessible a lot of this content would be to someone who isn't able to connect all of the dots as quickly as you are. So in terms of like, should you go see this? If you have played the Warcraft games or World of Warcraft, or have that kind of gamer mentality, I think this one's actually a little better than it's being given credit for. I think there are certainly some things about this that are worth watching, especially on the big screen. But past that, it might be more of a rinser. It might be more of a wait and see. And that kind of hurts me to say. Obviously, I love this franchise quite a bit, and I wanted to walk out of it saying, 5 out of 5 stars, best movie ever. I can't. The parts I liked as a gamer, I enjoyed, but the parts as a film fan, I don't know, it just didn't completely connect for me. But that was me. What about you guys?
So, Will, you mentioned connecting the dots from a gamer player perspective versus not. Jim, this is your first time playing the game, so, what were your thoughts on the movie? Did that impact you at all? Was it hard to follow, sort of the lore, or what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm coming into the movie just as a movie. I had never played the game, so I wasn't steeped in the lore of Warcraft or World of Warcraft or any of the other, iterations of the game. And here's the thing. I kind of enjoy the experience of getting in there, but like you will, as a movie, it didn't really it didn't really tie together very well. It kind of basically just dumped me into this world, and it did try to do some explaining, but not. The movie's got a tough job to do because it's got to appeal to fans of the game, obviously, right? Otherwise, it's not going to pass its test. And I think it's trying to make a decent case as a standalone movie also, and maybe draw people into that world. Gamers will have to decide, and Will, we heard from you, that whether it works as a piece of cinema that's attached to the game world. But fans of film, I don't know, man. Will, like you said, there was a lot of great visual effects in the movie that I was really impressed with some of the visual effects. There are some great action set pieces in here, some cool things that they do. But where the movie fell down for me was in the character development and character motivations. I think it kind of expects you to know a lot about the characters and what their roles are in this world and their motivations. And I had a lot. You can ask Brad. I had a lot of questions coming home from the movie, like, why did these guys do this? Why did she do that? Why didn't she do? And he had some of the answers for that, and that is an indication that there's just a lot under the surface that this movie just doesn't have time to go into. I don't know if the movie just bit off more than it could chew as far as what it stuffed into the movie. The movie didn't feel overly long, as opposed to our other movie, which we'll get to later. It didn't feel overly long, and I think that was because the movie, the story moved along at a pretty good pace. It just needed to fill in some gaps for me, and it might have been a better thing. Plus, fantasy realms really aren't really my strong suit. So I don't think I can recommend this to movie fans unless they are World of Warcraft players. Are interested in that world, then I would recommend it.
All right. So we've heard from a Warcraft superfan. We've heard from a Warcraft newbie. I guess it's up to me to fill in the middle ground. But first things first, Jim, did you turn in the quest?
Let's see. Did I? No. It says. Wait a minute. Is the Valley of Trials will temper even the weakest into a warrior worthy to join the horde. Those who cannot rise to its test will be left to bake in the scorching desert sun. Does that mean I died or something? What does that mean?
No, that's the flavor text. Like, instead of it just saying like go kill 7 guys, it like wants to tell you like, why do you have to kill these guys?
But can you read it in like an orc voice?
Well, I could, but what do I do now? It just has a button that says goodbye.
Oh,
that means you've probably already finished that. If you press L, it'll show you your quest log. I think it's L. Unless I've keybound it separate. And you should have another. It may have given you your next quest, if so.
Well, I don't see it. Let's see. Valley of Trials. Invaders in our home. Here we are.
Okay, so we need to turn that quest. So you need to talk to the guy with the question mark over it, which I think was Gornek. And you should be able to right-click him and then hit accept. Or, I'm sorry, not accept, complete quest.
Hold on. Oh, God. Do I have to face this guy? I don't know what's going on. Back to Gornak again, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm standing right behind him. He's sitting down, right?
Right. Yep.
I'm standing right in front of or behind him.
Does he have
him.
Does he have a gray question mark above his head or yellow?
No, he has a yellow one.
Okay. So right-click on him.
Okay.
What do you see? What do you see?
I see a thing that says the Valley of Trials will temper even the weakest into a warrior worthy to join the Horde. Those who cannot rise to its test will be left to bake in the scorching sun. Current quests. Invaders in our home. Here we are.
Yes.
Executed with quickness and discretion, a job well done. All right, so that was the one I just did.
Right.
Oh, I need to complete the quest. Got it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I just didn't have the right screen. I'm on to the next quest.
Yay!
Sting of the Scorpio.
Awesome. I'm
Scorpid.
on that one too.
Whatever that is.
Will, are you on that one as well?
I'm on Sting of the Scorpid. We're going to collect
All right.
8 Scorpid worker tails.
So let's follow Will, Jim, while I weigh in from the middle ground.
Where's Will?
There we go.
Okay.
All right. So I guess for me, like I mentioned earlier, I mean, I've been playing Warcraft for a long time, but I kind of have this history with the game where, like, I'm really into it for a little while, and then I leave for, like, a year. And then I come back, and I'm really into it for a little while, and then I leave. And I usually come back when there's, like, a new expansion, when there's new, like, game story content. Bunny Rabbit. So for me, I really, really like sort of the lore of the game. I get very steeped in the story. So in terms of the movie, it's interesting kind of seeing some of the lore things that I know from in the game, some of the events that I've like played because my character's gone back in time to be part of those events, sort of play out on screen. It's pretty interesting. I liked seeing those things play out. The problem that I have is just that even for me, and I like the lore, some of it's a little like confusing. Like, wait a second, why is Gul'dan doing this again? Like, why is Durotad like acting this way? And like, we'll talk about spoilers in a second, but it can definitely leave you a little confused as to like what's going on and why. And I think I was able to kind of parse it all out, but I feel like as a movie for your average moviegoer, probably going to be harder to follow. And I think that that's problematic for people who maybe don't know about Warcraft yet and are just kind of jumping on board. Unfortunately, I think this movie has sort of a hard, road to hoe, whatever that phrasing is, because it not only has to like appease the fans of the game, it also has to bring new people into the fold, right? If they're interested in checking it out. At work today, one of my students who's never played Warcraft before, you guys, saw the movie over the weekend and like spent his whole Sunday playing Warcraft, and he's like totally into it now. So I think the movie does kind of a good job of like introducing you to this fantasy world and kind of getting people maybe excited for the game, kind of steeped in the lore a little bit. I enjoyed the movie overall. I think visually it's very striking. I loved sort of the like variety of orcs that we got. I think the effects were really great. The magic effects sometimes were a little wonky for me, like seeing math symbols like in the blue glow of like a teleport spell or something was like a little weird. But I mean, by and large, it was a really cool movie to watch. I just think it's not as I don't know. It's just a lot of it is CGI, and when there are human characters, you can kind of tell that they're like reacting to things that aren't there sometimes, and it kind of took me out of it a little bit. So for me, it's definitely a recommend. I think it's fun. It's a cool movie-going experience. We saw it in. Did we see it in 3D? I can't even remember. Yes, we saw it in 3D.
Yeah, we did.
We did see it in 3D, but the 3D didn't make enough of an impact for me to like immediately remember it. So take that for what you will, I suppose. But I would say it's worth checking out. I don't see why not. But
I'm killing scorpions here. Sorry.
I see that.
So we got a recommend from Brad, and don't think I can recommend from me and Will. Is that right?
Yeah, I think for me, it's very much a conditional. Don't think I can recommend. There were things in this movie that I loved seeing. Again, I play Alliance side because in the game there's two factions, Alliance and Horde, and we got to see that in the movie too. You know, the humans representing the Alliance, the Orcs representing the Horde primarily.
Ooh, there's the quest right here, guys. Sorry, Will.
Let's this little yellow exclamation mark. Let's talk to it, and there will be another quest for us to do while we're here. But yeah, there were things like there were spots where it would swoop over the city of Stormwind, or it showed the city of Ironforge, which is the Dwarven city. Which again, that's where I spent a lot of time. I play dwarves, and they looked spot on for the game. They were everything that I wanted to see. So, from a story perspective and as a movie, it's got huge problems, and I don't know that I would recommend it otherwise. But if you're anyone with a history at all with the game, I'm telling you, it's worth checking out from that perspective alone. I think the acting itself is something we should talk about because I feel like I don't know if I was a big fan of a lot of these performances, but at the same time, I think that it was less because of the performers themselves and more because the script had some pretty pointed problems. Kind of specifically, there were things that we were supposed to feel for these characters that sort of came out of nowhere. The way the characters interacted with one another, the way they bounced off of each other. Like, we were supposed to make some pretty heavy leaps without the film actually showing us why these characters interacted the way they do. And that's a problem. I don't care what type of film it is. If it's a drama, a comedy, or a video game adaptation, your character motivations have to be grounded within the script and within the, whatever characterization you built up. This film didn't do that.
Yeah, I will say, Will, just to one of the things you were talking about, as a player of the game, I really loved seeing a lot of the locations from the game. I'm not a big Alliance person, so I wasn't like jizzing my pants over Stormwind, but I did, sort of enjoy seeing Dalaran or Dalaran, however you choose to pronounce it. We didn't get to see much of it, but we got to see Elwyn Forest. I'm thinking, I don't know. I'm thinking we probably need to go into spoilers at some point soon.
I think so. Maybe. This film is loaded with so many details that I feel like we can't skip spoilers, or we can't avoid them for too much longer. Plus, we're running a little long anyway. So, does anyone have any last points in terms of non-spoiler stuff?
No, I don't think so.
I will say that the Flying Griffin was really cool to watch.
Yeah. I want one.
Yeah,
when do I get a griffin?
You get flying. You get a riding mount at level 20 and a flying mount at level 40.
Is riding really level 20? I thought it was level 10 or something.
Oh, maybe it's 10 now. I forget.
I don't know. I haven't leveled up a newbie toon in so long. Sorry, Jim. So a character is sometimes referred to as a toon, like a cartoon. It's like your avatar sort of in the world. People call them toons. Anyway, yeah. I haven't leveled up a newbie toon in I don't know how long, so I forget. And I thought I was following you, Jim. I'm totally following the wrong orc.
I am at Hanazuwa.
Oh, did you pick up his quest?
I don't know. Whatever he or she is, they're fucking laying on the ground like an idiot. Somebody kill him?
You now have a quest. He's just sleeping. He's sleeping on the job. His little thing is like, actually no, he was hurt, and he's sick.
Now
and we've got to go kill the thing.
Should I cash? Okay. So what do I got to do? I got to get a mangled claw off of Sarkoth, right?
Yep.
Right.
And so we're going to go to that little blue dot on the mini map, and that's where we're going to fight Sarkoth. So what this game is telling us right now is that each of the quests has progressively taught us different things about how to play the game, from just the first monsters, which were just kill a bunch of boars, to then we had to do the scorpions, which taught us how to loot. Some of the quests are going to have to do with, like, not just killing the things, but finding objects on their bodies. And now we're going to have quests like this one where we have to kill one special monster, like a mini-boss.
Will, you should totally take screenshots of us, like, running around together.
Oh, yeah. Here.
My video is very jumpy. I think that's part of the problem. I think my computer is taxed.
Should we get behind your character, Will?
Yeah, get behind my character, because I'm going to get a selfie using my selfie camera.
All right, Jim.
I can't even see anything.
Will's character has a selfie cam, so get in here.
I can't.
Oh, you're being attacked by a scorpion.
I know. I got to get out of here.
Brad, go stand next to Jim, and I'll position myself.
How do I zoom back out? I'm zoomed, like, right between my legs. How do I get out of this?
Your mouse wheel zooms you in and out.
It won't zoom out anymore. That's weird. Oh, there we go. I got it.
Okay.
Where's that jerk?
Oh, stay there, Jim. We're posing for a picture.
Did you already kill it?
Let me
it's dead.
figure out my selfie cam.
All right, Jim. Face in Will's character direction.
Okay.
Uh,
I just step forward a little. Okay, I can get all of this in
gotta
like this. Ready? Okay.
Nice.
I will send those so that we can post those on the wall.
Nice.
Yeah.
Will,
So shall we? Oh, go ahead.
Will, real quick, can you take one without your title?
Yeah.
Jim, come back over here.
Oh, and the
Where?
titles aren't actually going to display in there either, because it's.
Oh, it won't show our character names?
It'll show you guys, but it won't show mine.
But on the screenshot you sent earlier of a selfie, it had the title. And it was all cut off. Remember?
Yeah. Let's see. I guess it depends on the angle, too. Like, right now, selfie cam is wonky.
We're taking selfies in a video game.
Orcs taking selfies. Come on, take the picture so I can go. I need to get a Sarkoth Mangled Claw, whatever that is.
There we go.
We get it?
Got a good one for us. So now we can go kill Sarkoth with his mangled
Let's
claw.
kill this fucker. Where is he?
So shall we spoilers?
Yeah, I think it's spoiler time. So spoilers are officially fair game. If you continue listening, you do so at your own peril. That's fine, but we are going to spoil the movie rather heavily. So that starts now. One thing I want to say, I loved when they were going through Elwyn Forest or whatever at night, and they were on the bridge, and we got to see a Murloc, like, sort of standing in the water. That was pretty awesome to me. I loved seeing that. But what do you guys think about this whole, like, Gul'dan fell magic versus, like, you know, orcs versus humans versus, like, Jim, did you care about the conflict at all between the orcs and the humans?
Well, here's the thing. I did. I kind of wanted to. I just never understood why. Here's the thing. I think the movie wanted me to kind of empathize with some of the orcs. But the movie set it up such that the orcs came to this world. Yeah, their world was dying. Great. But they came to this world with nothing, bent on nothing but destruction and murder. So how can you get behind that kind of a race or whatever, like from the get-go? Like, how was I supposed to feel any empathy with them?
Makes it hard. Hey, Jim, come over here and see how his body is all shiny. We just killed Sarkoth.
You did?
Yeah, you were talking. Sorry.
Well, yeah.
But see how his body is like.
I can barely
glaring?
do this. No, I see orange things coming off of it.
Yeah. So
That
right
means
click
he has
him.
items on him. So right click him. Same way you got those. Yeah, you're getting it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Got it.
it's.
I didn't kill him. I'll take credit.
We're a group. We killed him as a group. So I think it's interesting that that you're having some problems kind of attaching to kind of the orc motivations, and I think that's one of the things that is hard to cram into this film. Like, there's a lot of backstory that makes the orcs way more sympathetic and also way more monstrous that you could not realistically put into this movie. Stuff like, I mean, seriously, the World of Warcraft lore has, like, titans and aliens and demons and spaceships and all of these things in the backstory before we even get to here. And they obviously couldn't include that because that would make it even more convoluted. So you had to stick with just kind of the core story of these orcs live in this world that's been ravaged. It is a dead or dying world.
Right.
They found a new place to go, but unfortunately there's someone else living there. So
right. So we'll just go kill them.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, I think you can kind of understand from some perspective, and the character of Duratan becomes sort of our lens for that. Like, while this is a very tribalistic, war-heavy race, they're also family people. They're fathers, their mothers, etc. Just, again, more of a tribalistic type setting. And they have no, like, if they don't invade this world, they're gonna die. Like, their homeworld is dead and barren. So. They've got to do this. And so it makes it to where we understand why they're invading, but at the same time, they're also invaders, and I think it's very easy for us to naturally think, more easily relate with the humans, because, I mean, we're human.
Yeah, there was never any, I mean, they're coming into this new world. They don't know if they're going to get wiped out right off the bat or anything. There wasn't even a scene where they would approach some humans and say, hey, our world is dying. We don't ask for much. We just ask that, share this world. We won't bother you, whatever.
Right.
But no, yeah. We're orcs. We're orcs. We're just going to come here and we're going to fuck you up. And you're, and that's it. And that was kind of weird for me. I didn't get that.
Well, it gets even more complicated too from here, because we even saw, like, where the story goes next in the actual game story, and where they set up here in the movie is that any chance at a bond that there might have been, which would have been through the character of Corona, who was the one, sort of the bridge between, like, humanity and orc kind, that's been severed. And now the humans are on a, hey, we need to get revenge path, because, again, the tie with Corona has been cut. So it's kind of a tragic story, if anything, because there's so many places along the way where things could have gone differently, where they could have just said, okay, you take this land, we'll take this land, let's figure this out. And because of the pride of both races and, both perceived or real, that doesn't happen. And so that's the tragedy of this story.
Yeah. I mean, oh, go ahead, Jim. Go for it.
It seemed like every scene was like a cut scene, like setting up. You know what I mean? Like it was very much like a video game cutscene, like you'd see at the beginning of this game here. You know what I mean? Like it I don't know. There just wasn't much, really much continuity. It just seemed like from scene to scene to scene, and yeah, I mean, I understood. The basics of the story, I just would have liked a little bit more. Maybe if they had kind of not bitten off as much of the origin story, I don't know. They, with all this, the Fel and the Guardian and all the stuff, they cram that all in there. Instead, if it had just been maybe the first contact between the orcs and the humans on this new world for the orcs, it might have maybe been a little bit richer for me.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
It does. Or maybe even skip some of the backstory entirely and just dive somewhere into the middle in a way where it's like you don't have... I don't feel like we need to use a whole movie to set up the idea that the green glowing evil stuff is actually evil. I think that's a leap that we're all able to make pretty logically by itself. So if you had just set up a story that was already kind of in the midst of this, the orcs have been invading, what are the humans going to do? We've got this guardian, but maybe he's being corrupted too. I think you could have cut just into that part of the story, or just into any other part of the story and told that, and I think you would have been fine. But with telling basically the entirety of like Warcraft 1 and even some source material mixed in there too, it was just way too much.
Yeah, and I think it's just problematic because again, it's trying to walk that line, right? And I don't think it walks it well enough. I think you easily could have taken sort of a subsection of this and crafted a really cool story. I mean, we have Durotan, right? And he's supposedly like this sympathetic, like awesome, goodish guy character in the world of these orcs. And like, really, I don't know a lot about Durotan. Like, he has a son, great. He isn't like that keen on Gul'dan, great. But like, why do I care about Durotan? You know what I mean? We've got so many orcs. We've got so many things going on. We've got Garona, and like, yeah, okay, I get it. She's supposed to be cool. By the way, is she Medivh's daughter? Is that what that whole like giving her the flower thing was supposed to be?
No. See, they had a problem kind of setting up some of the stuff too, because you know that race of the blue creatures that were in the that were in that prison cell. Like at the very beginning, they had like super bright blue skin, and they were like, "Please don't." So that particular race, Garona is like, at least in the game lore, I don't know if they're going to expand this too much. She's half orc, half one of those, which is
what are they called again?
Well, their original race is the Eredar, but then the group that flees the other are called the Draenei, which is an alliance.
That's right, Draenei.
So that's why it becomes extremely, even her backstory becomes problematic, because if you're going to go that route, and I think they were setting her up as kind of a half breed, which is what she is, you then have to explain those things, and if you explain them, you have to explain that they're fleeing on a spaceship across all these planets from this demon that's chasing them. And why is it? There's so many different things that you have to set up to do that. They probably could have cut Garona entirely from this part of the story. As much as I like her in the game lore, I don't know that she really adds.
Right.
I think she's so complicated that you have to either change dramatically or just cut her out or do something else with her, and that's that's the problem. You can tell these people, the people that made this film, love this franchise. Like, you sometimes see a video game movie or an adaptation where you can tell that there's open contempt for the source material, where it's like where they strip away the stuff that like makes something fun because they're afraid that it'll kind of make them uncool to do it. There's the exact opposite. You can tell that these people loved this story, but they loved it too much.
So Garona, it was unclear to me why she instantly decided to ally with the humans, or so easily decided to ally with the humans after that battle scene where she was captured. I'm not sure why she was so. I know she was kind of a slave or something, and that's why she was quick to turn against the orcs.
Yeah,
I mean, tell me about Garona a little bit.
Yeah. So at least we'll talk movie Garona, because it's very easy to kind of get too caught up in the game lore here, and that's what the filmmakers do too. So she is a slave to Gul'dan. Her job is basically to act as translator. That's one of the things that she acts as a translator between her and the slaves and all of that. She was because she was one of Gul'dan's slaves. She was not accepted into orc kind, and so when that attack happens, she's basically like pulled into the situation where if she needs to escape, she's got to go with the humans. It seems like she did so reluctantly at first. Like, it's not like she was like all about the humans as much as it was sort of a marriage of convenience type thing. But as the film progressed, she got to realize that they weren't these soft, squishy pink things. They were actually like fierce warriors of their own type, and she starts to develop respect for them. More inexplicably for me, she starts to develop we're spoilers, right?
We are, totally.
Yeah. I thought we turned. Yeah. She develops an out-of-nowhere romance with Lothar, which I think was a problem for me because I don't feel like it was realistically set up. I don't feel like there was good chemistry there. It was just sort of like there's just a scene where all of a sudden there's sparks flying. It's just like, oh, where the hell did this come from? Okay.
Mm-hmm. You want to know something really funny? Jim, I'm sorry, I'm going to embarrass you for a second. So, like, the first time they have that first romantic moment, you know what Jim turns to me and says during the movie?
What's that?
He says, how's she going to give a beej with those teeth?
Well, that's just very true. Like, it's one of those things where it's like they have now, by entering into that relationship, they have limited certain possibilities.
I don't really think orcs have much oral sex. Obviously, it's not happening.
Or maybe they have lots of it. They're just super into teethy beaches.
Especially those dudes. Imagine going down on any of the chicks with those teeth. Oh my god.
Oh god. All right, this
I'm gonna just say no to all of that.
It was 4 women. 4 women.
This just went really to a dark place.
I will say one thing that I did like, and Brad, I think this is maybe a part where I'll differ from you a little bit. I kind of liked the way the spells looked in this, in that I felt like the colors, I really liked the color palette that was used. It was super vivid and bright. I felt like that color green that they used for Fel and that color blue that they used for Magic, and even the golden. There's a spot where at the end where Khadgar is fighting Medivh, and like he's bathed in yellow light, like he dings, he levels up. It's that's that same golden light that you see in game. Like, so I liked the colors. I thought the colors were really neat. The spells looked pretty cool. The armor and weapons, while they didn't necessarily look practical and realistic, the movie wasn't going for practical and realistic. They looked fun. They looked bright.
Yeah.
And they looked bold, and they looked energetic. So from a realism standpoint, there were definitely problems with the way things looked. But just from a did this visually look appealing to me? I liked the way a lot of the things looked. This might be one of the better looking things we've seen in a while.
So my problem wasn't with the colors. I was fine with the colors. I like bright and glittery and glowy. My thing was just like when he's like doing the teleportation spell, there's like fucking algebra problems, like circling his hand, like when he's like expanding out the thing. Like there's like writing or runes or something glowing in the air, and it looked a little weird for me, I guess.
That might have been one of those translations from game to because there's a lot of, especially with that type of magic in the game, like there's a lot of like runes that you see within them, especially like in like the city of Dalaran and that type of stuff.
Sure, it just looked really weird for me on the movie screen, I guess.
Yeah.
Something about it being in game looks like maybe it's just way fuzzier in the game, and it was way like crisper. Like seriously, I could read the fucking problems and like write them down and do them like on a piece of paper if I took them with me to the movie. Like it was interesting. But yeah. So there was one more thing I liked. So when we first see Lothar for the first time, I thought it was awesome. He walks up to this dead body, he kneels down, grabs its shield, picks it up, and he like tests it and then walks away with it. I was like, it's just like picking up a piece of gear, of loot, after you kill something.
There are so many of those little call-outs, little things like that make it feel like you're playing. Even the way when they fight the golem and kind of possessed Medivh there at the end, Lothar and Khadgar versus them, that even plays out the way like a big boss's mechanics might. With like different phases and stuff like that. Hey guys, we've got a question from Mick Jones I'd like to read. He says, which was the better game turned movie? Lara Croft, Resident Evil, Warcraft, or another?
None.
From that list, so Resident Evil, I guess it depends on what you're looking for, because for me, I think the Resident Evil franchise is the franchise
Which one was Silent Hill? Which one was that one?
Oh, that was the Silent Hill franchise.
Yeah,
that was another one.
Yeah, Resident Evil is the one that staked its biggest, like tried to make its own mark. Like it changed so radically from the games that it's almost unrecognizable in comparison. So if you like something that's very unique and tries to go its own route, like Resident Evil definitely does that. Whereas something like here with Warcraft, something that's very faithful. I think there's different ways of looking at it. For pound, and I might be missing something else. It's not necessarily the most serious of movies, but in terms of just video game movies that I think get the inherent silliness of the franchise, that leans into it in a way that I think makes sense. The Mortal Kombat movie was not a super grounded movie, but it got the game that it was based on, and it played to its strengths very well. So Give me the Mortal. It's maybe not the best, but probably the most enjoyable was that weird ass Mortal Kombat movie. With all the
Hey, I'm totally looking at a character right now whose name is Dur Hotan.
Well, I just saw a Duro 10 a second ago. I'm guessing we're going to see lots of Durotan themed characters now that people.
Little kids were like, "I love Durotan. I don't know how to spell it, but let me name."
When I first started playing World of Warcraft, again, this was like a decade ago, and I played Alliance side. You would have a lot of night elves, which is the night elf hunters, and they would be some variation of Legolas. So the exact same thing.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, guys, believe it or not, we have another movie to briefly discuss. I think we'll do a shortened review. How do we feel about bringing our journey through Azeroth to a close, both on the show and in the game?
I think that's a good call.
Yeah. Jim, are you ready to end your brief stint in the world of Azeroth?
Sure.
All right. Jim,
maybe I'll return.
What's been your I know you're doing this while trying to talk about a movie But what's been your experience with the game? Just a little bit.
It's pretty cool. I mean, all I've been doing is accepting quests and going around and doing quests. I assume this is kind of the beginning of the game, obviously, where it's kind of training me to do certain things that I'll need, later in the game. It's a kind of a cumulative skills kind of thing that I'm building up. So are the quests all individual? Like, is that the way the game works? Am I just going to keep getting? I keep playing the game. Am I just going to keep getting individual quests?
Sort of. Yeah.
Is that what it is? Yeah.
And you'll go through more and more different zones with more increasingly difficult enemies and increasingly better rewards. And then there are some quests that require you to go into with a group. You'll find these special dungeons. That you and you and 4 other people, so a party of 5 can go into, and they're all themed around something. Like this pirate has taken over this dock area, and so you go through this dungeon where you're fighting the pirate and all of these things, or whatever it happens to be. It's all thematic. It's it's all linked to whatever the story is. And then as you get to your max level, then you can, if you so choose, you can do these giant things called raids, which is where you get between 10 and 25 people together to go kill some of the big bads. That's where you would fight Gul'dan, or one of the big bads from the movie would be in one of those big raids.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, who knows? Maybe I'll come back to it. Maybe I won't. I'm not sure. But it was fun playing, and I think it's something that as I play more and I get more experience with the controls and stuff, and I think that's where my struggle lies. It's just frustrations and trying to get my player to do what I want him to do,
Right, yeah, definitely understandable.
Button mashing.
Yeah,
indeed. All right, well, let's go ahead and end our time in Azeroth. Jim, go ahead and hit the escape button, and let's all hit exit game. Goodbye, Azeroth. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Azeroth.
Bye,
and
Azeroth.
hello, next movie.
All right. So, speaking of that dark place that we went earlier, let's go to another dark place and talk about The Conjuring 2. So, here we go, our discussion of The Conjuring 2. All right, so guys, here's what I'm thinking. Let's do a brief non-spoiler discussion of Conjuring 2. Maybe just our impressions, whether we think it's worth checking out. Jim, why don't you go first? What did you think here? Give us a setup.
Let's see. The setup is we're back to our 2 main characters from the first Conjuring movie. Now, these movies are fictionalized, let's say dramatized, not fictionalized, but dramatized accounts of supposedly real cases from parapsychologists, or I don't know what you'd call them. Paranormal investigators, right? Ed and Lorraine Warren from the 70s. They're the ones who made the Amityville Horror. They're the ones involved in the Amityville Horror House in New York. This is in 1977, after the famous events of the Amityville Horror. They come out of a self-imposed sabbatical from demon hunting to travel to North London to help this woman named Peggy Hodson, who is an overwhelmed single mother of 4 children, who's alone in a house plagued by malicious spirits. Ed and Lorraine believe her story when the youngest daughter starts to show signs of a demonic possession, a la, The Exorcist, or even back to The Conjuring 1, when we had an evil spirit haunting not just the house, but also haunting certain individuals. And as the Warrens try to help this besieged girl, they become the next target of malicious spirits. So there you go. There's your summary of the movie. Yeah, this movie was how do I say this? The movie was okay. It was a pretty, as horror movies go, I think it was a pretty well done movie. I think the story was drawn out too much. The movie was at least 2 hours long, if I recall correctly, and it felt like a long movie. There were long stretches of this movie where they tried to, further the story of Ed and Lorraine, or fill in some backstory about their life and how they got here, which didn't really necessarily ratchet up the tension or the horror of the movie, and that was kind of my problem with it. There seemed like a little bit of padding in this movie to make it 2 hours. What was there really wasn't much different than what we've seen in the first movie. So if you've seen the first Conjuring, you kind of got the same stuff here. Bad evil spirit comes, invades this house, makes these poor people's lives, in this case, this mom and her 4 kids, their lives hell. Ed and Lorraine come along. They, do their thing and try to see if they can eradicate this spirit. And that's what you have in this movie. I kind of like this world that they're in. I really like the 2 lead actors, Vera Farmiga as Lorraine and Patrick Wilson. I thought do a really good job of portraying those characters, and I like being in their world again. This story, though, seemed, I don't know, just a little bit too samey same. The manifestations of the spirit, let's say, were, I don't know. There were some scary moments in here, but not. There were some jump scares, but I never really felt the sense of like, oh my God, what's going to happen next? You kind of knew what was going to happen next in most of these scenes, and maybe that's just because we're getting used to the storytelling style of James Wan in these movies. I don't think this movie was quite as good as The Conjuring, the original movie, but I think it's still a solid horror movie. It's a good Friday night, date night movie if you're really into horror movies. It's not a bad movie by any means. I just don't think it really lived up to the promise of the first Conjuring movie. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think for me it's kind of the same thing. I mean, I did. Oh, and by the way, I'm rocking out my old school WoW headset. That's why it looks giant on my head. But yeah, so for me, I guess, I mean, I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I got goosebumps a couple times. One of the jump scares did get me, but it became a little too much of like Paranormal Activity, and too less of like creepy The Conjuring sometimes. And like, this is gonna sound terrible. I'm probably gonna have like 1,000 people hate me, but like one of the main scary like things in this movie is like
don't.
Is like a nun demon thing, and it's like, yeah, we aren't getting into spoilers. There's a reason for that, I guess. But I was just kind of like, okay, so we have like this religious figure thing that's like apparently scary. It was a little weird for me, and I think it's supposed to sort of evoke like a sense of like the evil corruption of whatever. But it just came across a little bit like clown facey makeup and less like creepy, scary, like spirit thing to me. So maybe for me it wasn't as effective as it could be. You know what I mean? But when I saw that like demon nun, I was thinking of like her running around with a ruler, like slapping my wrist, as opposed to like, rawr, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Maybe that lowered some of the some of the drama there, or is drama even the right word? Some of the suspense,
Terror, tension.
I guess. Some of the terror, right? I was more afraid of like the like girl being possessed by like the old man, like it's in the trailer. Like that made me creeped out way more than like the nun ghost thing running around, which is also in the trailer, so whatevs. But Will, what about you? Where do you weigh in on this one? Was this good for you?
Ultimately, yes. I wouldn't say that this was a great movie, but it was one that I think was good enough. I would recommend it. A light recommendation, but sure, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm a little tired of this genre as a whole. I love horror movies, but I feel like the Insidious and the Insidious clones have become sort of such a fixture on the horror market that they've kind of drowned out a lot of other things that I could consider more up my alley. This film has a problem with relying too much on jump scares. The majority of its tension comes from jump scares, and I've said this before on this program. Like, I think that a jump scare, when used effectively, can help amplify fear, but when used excessively or when used in the wrong spot, what it does is it distracts the audience. What it does is it makes us turn to the person next to us and go, yeah, I got scared by that too. Or no, I didn't get scared by that. And it becomes more about like that rush of adrenaline as opposed to like anything that lingers or anything that lasts. It's a sugar rush when really you should be eating dinner instead. That said, what I really enjoyed about this movie was the stuff in between all of the scares. Like, I think the first Conjuring was probably creepier, probably scarier. But I really liked the family that they're dealing with here. We have Frances O'Connor as the mother and a set of 4 children who I was compelled by, or at least as compelled. You know, I would probably say I was more compelled by this family than most of the families that we experience in these types of movies. A lot of them are very forgettable, but I'm still remembering these characters and what they did. So I think that's good. I cared for what these characters were going through. So
Right.
The drama was good. I think the terror not as much, and I think a lot of it's because it's very predictable. There's a scene in this movie, and I'll tell it to you guys after the afterwards. But suffice to say, the filmmakers put something in to hint at the end of the movie, but it's so obvious at the it appears about the halfway mark of the movie. It's so obvious that if you know what to look for at all, it completely ruins the ending. So,
Yeah.
and the person I was watching it with, we walked out afterwards and said, "You saw that, right? Yeah, you saw it too." So it's not like it's even like super hidden or super hard.
Not just even once, Will. Not just once.
So I don't know. Should we do spoilers for 5 minutes?
We'll do a 5-minute spoilers, all right?
Yeah.
When we get there, okay?
Yeah.
Are you ready now?
I think we're pretty much there, really.
I think
honestly.
so. Yeah.
All right, let's do a 5-minute spoiler.
All right.
Will,
so,
I know what you're gonna say.
Are we a spoiler? We're officially there.
Go ahead, Brad. Do it.
Real quick. Spoiler warning. Blah 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 blah. Listen at your own peril. This is your last chance. Hit pause. Go, Jim.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed it too because it was one of those things where they put this thing in the scene and you have no fucking idea why it's there. And then you see it again later on and you're like, wait a minute, that's the exact same thing we saw in the other room. And then you see it again and it was just, okay.
So which thing are you
let's be
referring
clear.
to? Just to be.
Let's be clear.
I'm talking about the name.
Yes.
On
the
the
name
bookshelf,
was in the movie at least 4 times.
Yeah.
It was on the windowsill in the kitchen when they're eating Frosted Flakes, right? It was in big block wooden letters on the bookshelf, spelled out, and it was in the little bead bracelet that the girl was making. It had the name, the letters, the block letters, you know, in one of those friend.
I didn't even see it in the bracelet, but
in one of those friend bracelets, it said the name on it. And then, of course, in the Bible, you know, when she had the vision, right? So that's 4 times, and then they get to the end of the movie, and like, oh my God, if I only knew the name of this spirit, I could have power over it. And I'm yelling out like, oh my God, it's fucking Valak.
oh my God, this is Blue's Clues for adults.
It was
Like
really
what
bad.
this movie just did. Kids at home, do you know the name of the demon?
So I have a theory that I think explains it. So I think that the daughter has a psychic power, but unlike her mother, who can like see spirits and whatever in the present, I think she gets like vibes from the future, and I think she was like getting the demon's name and subconsciously working it into her arts and crafts.
So when her and her mom were out shopping for wooden things to put on the bookshelf, she said, "Mom, get a V, 2 A's, an L, and a K." I don't know why, but that's really cool.
It is one of those things where, like, I get why they went there. I do think that it's the idea was for it to be rewarding for the audience members. By the end, like those who were observant can go, "Oh, I bet it's this. Oh my God, it was this." That's what they were going for. But I think that it was so heavy-handed that, like I said, it's like an episode of Blue's Clues. Like, it's like, where is it? It's right over there. Like, it was so obvious, and they make this point of drawing out, like, whatever could the name be? It was a little silly to me. And again, it took a lot of the piss out of the end of that movie. Like, it just became kind of drab, and it didn't need to be.
But at least we had a performance from Ed singing an Elvis song around the Christmas tree.
That didn't have to be in the movie either.
Yeah, that didn't work for me. What worked for me was when the family was experiencing things. Like, when the kids were like, I'm going to, I'll go in there. We're supposed to protect each other. I thought that was cute. When they were first dealing with everything, the one girl, like, tying her arm with the jump rope, and the other kid, like, those were fun little moments with the kids kind of all sort of exploring or being affected by this presence, and I thought that worked really well.
I'll tell you a couple of things that were effective for me and they started this pretty early on with the little girl. She had a propensity to sleepwalk, and they would do a jump cut where she'd be laying in bed, and they would kind of slowly zoom in on her sleeping. And then all of a sudden you'd hear a thud like...
Uh-oh, we lost your audio.
We lost Jim.
Jim, you just thudded your desk, and we lost your audio.
I will fill the silence while he's connecting. But to Jim's point, like, they would do these zoom-ins. There would be a thud and a zoom out, almost like either she's waking up, like hitting the ground, or she's just coming out of it. And it was super effective. It's jarring the first time you see it. Like, what the hell just happened? And then after that, it became a great visual cue. Like, oh, what happened? And there he is, Jim.
I'm back. Wow, my microphone actually muted. That was weird. So anyway, that I love that effect. It was like, oh my God, that was awesome. And they did that like 2 or 3 times, because the girl, like, almost every night would have like a sleepwalking incident. Right. And she'd wake up like downstairs, or you didn't know where she was gonna wake up. And I thought that was really effective. And there was one other scene that, I don't know, I wish they had done more with it, but the dog scene. The dog and when the
wait, you mean when the dog turns into the Babadook?
Yeah. When the dog turns into the Crooked Man, right? And the Crooked Man comes, chasing the kid. I thought that was pretty well done. That was pretty creepy. That was a goosebump scene for me. Yeah.
Yeah, I totally felt like they were channeling the Babadook with that whole Crooked Man thing. Like,
maybe, but
instead of a flip book, let's have it be a light-up carousel that sings. I don't know.
It was a bit of a poor man's Babadook in terms of the monster design there. I kind of liked the nun, the way the nun worked, especially. There's this one scene where there's this painting on the wall, and the lights kind of go in and out, and and the way the lights were highlighted around just the portrait itself and the eyes and the mouth. I thought that was super effective. Maybe less so when it got super demon mouthy. It was a little weird for me there, but just that scene just before anything happens, where it just kind of pans in and out of that painting, I thought was super effective in terms of what I want to see from these movies, which is more atmosphere building and less like just build up to the jump scare. They got to the jump scare eventually in that scene, and I was a little bothered by it, but I do feel like again, this is not a bad film. I was like, this is a good film. It's just not a great film. I think it got it got close to the mark quite a bit.
Yeah, the genre is a little tired. These kind of mainstream horror movies, and I always like to see them do a little something different. This movie, unfortunately, didn't quite get there for me. It was a lot of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Same type of scares, jump scares, creepy stuff in the dark corner, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's getting hard in the modern day horror movie genre to surprise us anymore. I think we're so trained with what to expect these days. It's like, oh, there's a dark closet. Something's going to jump out of that any moment. Oh, look how they're framing this shot of the stairs. Something's going to come out of there. Like, you know what I mean? It's almost like you can see the things before they happen. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of that is just because maybe we've seen a lot of these films, and especially James Wan. I mean, we're getting very used to his style at this point, I think. I mean, is that part of it for you, Jim, or is it something else?
Yeah, no, I think that's it. I think we're kind of familiar with his style. And the one other plot point that they were foreshadowing in this movie was the whole the vision that Lorraine had of Ed's death, impaled by this giant wooden spike. She had a couple of premonitions about that, and it was really great. And then all of a sudden, oh my God, this tree outside falls over and leaves this giant wooden spike right below a window. Oh my God, what's going to happen? But you don't know. I mean, you know that. I mean, at least I kind of knew that they lived. I mean, beyond. I mean, Ed did not die from getting impaled on
in the late 70s. Yeah.
In the late 70s. I mean,
well, I didn't know that.
Unless the movie was going to go way off book and kill off one of its main characters. I mean, even if you don't know that, there's probably going to be a Conjuring 3, and he's going to be back. I mean, there was just no stakes there. No stakes, get it?
I'm going to disagree with you because, A, Vera Farmiga is what sells this movie. Ed, I don't even care about Ed. I think his acting.
I like his wooden, goofy style.
That's good. I like it. But for me, I mean, I think that this Conjuring franchise could stand on its own with Vera Farmiga as a grieving widow now having to use her powers, and maybe Ed could show up as a ghost to help her out. Who knows if you really have to have Ed? Yeah. But all I knew is that he died at some point. I didn't know the circumstances of his death, so I was kind of like, could it happen? Probably not. But I was kind of wondering if it was going to go there. So maybe for people who are unfamiliar with the history, there could be an impact. But I think
there's a large number of people that that would watch this and they may not even know that it's based on a real story, even though it says so. A lot of these fictional ghost stories, they say based on a true story at the beginning. So I can totally see someone walking into this and not being aware of that fact, or who has only watched the movie and didn't do any Wikipedia looking. And I'm trying to remember the first movie, if they at the end showed lots of photos of them older, and if so,
they did.
Yeah, and so that kind of impacted me a little bit. I was thinking back, and I'm like, I seem to remember them as older, which means he probably didn't die at this moment, just based off that first one. Yeah. So I'm kind of between the two. Yes, for me personally, I kept thinking well, it's not going to die because we know the dude doesn't die. But at the same time, I think it was a credible enough threat that it at least it gave them some business other than just kind of being imposed on someone else's story. It gave them some business. So yeah, I was fine with that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, guys, I think, because we have run very, very long, thanks to our excursion to World of Warcraft, that it's probably a good time to go ahead and draw to a close. So just want to give a quick shout-out to all of our folks who are hanging out with us live tonight. So Mick, Felipe, and the other folks that we saw hanging on. Great to have you guys with us. For those of you who are listening on digital tape delay, sorry we don't have any of the actual video from when we were playing the game. That was pretty fun. But we did take some selfies in-game that we'll be posting on our Facebook wall at some point. So keep an eye out for those. But guys, have a good week. We'll see you next time. Take it easy. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.